So Western North Carolina needs all the help that we can get them. Let's continue to spread the word. We have to. All right? So, you know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
This is for every single person that does not have a clue what is going on currently. Over 100 days later, after the Western North Carolina communities were hit with one of the largest, most destructive hurricanes. Over 840,000 acres were destroyed, over 150,000 homes were destroyed, and well over hundreds of families were left for dead. Hundreds of families still to this day, over 3 months later, do not have running water, do not have power, do not have heat, and are relying on people like me and you, the average citizen, to get them propane, to get them campers, to get them food, to get them fresh water. While their children were forced to go back to school, most of them do not have a roof over their head and now are living either in a tent, freezing to death, or literally in a camper, waiting on the next person to come and give them propane because they were not given that $750 and they were not approved. And that 4-letter word said, well, you know what? Oh, well, tough luck. You got to figure it out on yourself. We're over 100 days later where most of these families still do not have the way to get down off the mountain, where their roads are literally destroyed and power lines are still laying across the road over 100 days later. We're talking about hundreds of communities that are up in that mountain that have no clue when they will ever be restored, when they will ever get their roads back, their bridges back, and now they are having to deal with the toxic water, the toxic land, the toxic waste, and the toxic trash everywhere. Over 100 days later, only 4% of the rubble and the debris has been picked up, and most of these families literally have to look at this in horror every single day when they wake up. Me, an average citizen, and over thousands and thousands of people just like me and you have provided these families with campers, food, water, clothes. I know my organization, On-Site Disaster, has provided over 25 campers to these families absolutely free. We have provided over 20,000 coats, over 50,000 items that were donated by people here on TikTok. No large corporations, no huge brands, nobody stepped up for them. No one sent them free stuff. No one gave them 100% relief efforts. Most of every single person that I've spoken to were denied every bit of relief. You didn't see these big corporations, these big influencers with large platforms, these movie stars stepping in to help them, stepping in to start GoFundMes for them. You didn't see huge, large stories on this. You didn't see the 24/7 coverage all over the news, all over social media, all over Facebook, all over TikTok. You didn't see these generations upon generations of families all over the news. You didn't see someone coming to them and helping them and trying to get their story out there. And still 100 days later, this is literally what our Western North Carolina mountains look like. They are filled with families freezing to death in tents. They are filled with campers. They are filled with pure mud, toxic mud all over. They are filled with so many people still needing so much help. You know who did step up for them? The Amish. The Amish came and built hundreds of tiny homes, small organizations, people like me and you. We stepped in and we helped them build them tiny homes, give them campers, give them hot tents. The issue is they didn't get any type of assistance. They didn't get any type of government help. They didn't get 100% relief coverage. And you know what? The bad thing is that most of these people didn't have much to begin with, and now they don't really have anything left, but they don't even have money to rebuild. There's really no such thing as flood insurance in the mountains, is there? Most of them are renters, and sadly, it's not their land, so where do you want them to go? Could you imagine over 100 days later, this is what you have to see every single day? You are faced with reality and the destruction and the toxic and the pure trauma every single day. You're also faced with being left for dead, being left to be forgotten because nobody talks about them. The media never covered them like they're covering California. And yes, the California fires are absolutely horrible, and all of those people that lost everything, that is absolutely horrible. But we're trying to get people to understand is that Western North Carolina did not get nowhere near the amount of coverage or love or support or even relief efforts as California did, and that's what hurts us the most. Over 100 days later, they're still needing food, they're still needing hot tents, and now all of their hotel vouchers are about to expire and they have nowhere to go. All we're asking is that they get the amount of love, support, and relief efforts that California is getting. They are people too, and most of them are that blue-collar 9-to-5 generation after generation. They deserve love and support and 100% relief efforts as well. They deserve to know that we will never forget about them, and we will continue to fight for them, and we will continue to support and love them. This is for every single person that does not have a clue what is.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure I say and remember to say the names that I'm seeing on these TikTok. Some of them have some type of relief effort or some type of way to donate or different things like that. Maybe you could reach out, make sure, verify, all that type of stuff if you want to help. This person here is Bougie and the Babe. So it's BOUJEEANDTHEBABE. Again, that's Bougie and the Babe. BOUJEEANDTHEBABE. All right. So this is the first one I see. So when I see somebody or they mention something, but try to remember to shout out their username and stuff like that. And especially if they're offering any type of they have a donation link or something like that, you know. And again, make sure y'all verify. Can't stress that enough, because we've seen the stories. I'm not accusing nobody of nothing or anything like that, but I'm making sure y'all also do your due diligence before you do so. Don't just blindly go out there. Verify, reach out, speak to people. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, in these times, too, people take advantage of people. So understand. Make sure you do your due diligence. Reach out, verify, and let's continue to spread the word. Let's keep going.
Whoa. Dang. And this is for propane?
This is just for propane.
We're gonna try and drop some groceries off. Holy.
And the other direction too.
Oh my. That is to get heat, buddy, so people can be warm tonight.
Oh my God.
No, it's not their house. They're just here to get some heat, buddy. Oh, is it going around?
It goes around?
It goes around. Oh, I don't even see the end.
That's where we're headed.
Bro, you see the tanks on the back of people's trucks, the stand-up tall tanks people are bringing there? Bro, again, had no idea this was going on. No idea this was going on.
Yeah, that's totally normal. Said no one ever.
So it says same pond, different day. It's fresh water, right? Out of the ground. It shouldn't look like this. Jeez, bro.
If you want to know just how messed up our system is right now, it is currently 7:44 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, January 17th, and I'm trying to get home, but instead I stop every couple of miles to pay more hotel bills for people that are getting booted off their FEMA vouchers, and they can't get FEMA on the phone, and so they've talked to elected officials' offices, and the elected officials aren't able to get FEMA to respond at this time of night, of course. So I'm getting calls from my elected officials' offices to please, Lee Brown, have your Patriot Relief Organization pay these hotel bills, which I will gladly do for the people. But how messed up is our system that our elected delegation can't make FEMA pay for hotels when we are watching billions of dollars be wasted everywhere else? Somebody make it make sense.
And that's the type of thing that has people upset. How are they going to watch you send money to other countries and send aid to other countries when our own are needed it right here?
Everything we have been taught is a lie.
One of them is that food pyramid, that dairy is good for the bones and calcium. Literally, milk actually strips the bone of calcium.
Yeah.
You know, they tell us don't look at the sun because it will make us go blind. Sun gazing actually stimulates your pineal gland to open up your third eye so you can move on different dimensions of densities. Everything they ever have told us is a lie. They tell us that our heart is a pump. Your heart is not a pump. Your heart is a valve. Your lungs is a pump that pumps the blood to the heart. The heart is a valve mechanism that controls the cardio output of blood. Everything they tell us about everything is a lie. They tell you your hair is just hair. No, our hair is non-ether hair. It is actually an extension of your nervous system. It is used to scan the environment, and it brings all of these different melanin neurotransmitters back to your skin to tell you whether to actually engage in the environment or take fight or flight and run away. That's why you get gut feelings. That's why when you see paranormal activities, the hair on your skin stand up. So everything that they ever told us about ourselves is a lie. But it's cool because they don't know who we are. So if we study ourselves and we unlock our junk DNA by eating the right foods we're supposed to be eating, we can awaken something called the Akashic Records. And the Akashic Records is this infinite, endless library inside of your DNA. Your DNA is literally like a hard drive. It holds trillions and trillions and trillions of information. And you have literally a DNA fragment in each of your cells. Remember, you have 150 trillion cells in your body. Every cell have its own coil of histines and DNA. Each of these DNAs, if you were able to lay it out, it will fill 600 million page books. That's how much information in you. And we not even tapping into 1% of it because of the environment and what we're eating. So if we just start with the food and change our diets into livids, it would allow us to express who we truly are. And once you find out who you are, can't nobody tell you nothing different about you.
Now, this is very interesting to me. And the reason why I say this is very interesting, because this takes me back to Queen. Like she deals with migraines, and she's dealt with them her entire life, right? Severe migraines, like, will shut her down to where she can't really move, or it'd be pressure behind the eyes and the back of the head, different places, and it really like doesn't allow her to go on throughout the day and do things. So we started looking up different things, and what we found was based upon her blood, was it her blood type? I think it was. And the things she eats affects it. So a person with her type of blood type shouldn't be eating certain foods. Like certain foods could trigger one of the symptoms, headaches, migraines, by certain things she could eat based on her blood type. So when you hear stuff like that, bro, look into it and see, especially if you have a specific ailment, and it could be linked to your blood type and what you're feeding your body. Just because you see somebody else eat that doesn't mean that you should be eating that. May not be good for you. They may can handle it. You might not be able to. So look into stuff like that. Seriously.
Let's talk about the food dyes. In so many of our foods, cereals, potato chips, that's just to name a few. And these items are banned in Europe. I mean, their ingredients are always so much smaller. That list is so much shorter than what we see here in this country. You've called for the food industry to, quote, stop poisoning Americans with ingredients not used in those other countries. I have to ask you, why are certain ingredients okay in America, but not around the world, not in Europe?
Well, our FDA is asleep at the wheel. They have not been looking at these chemicals in the last 50 years since they've been invented. Even in the last 10 years, the FDA just recently admitted that they have not looked at the safety studies of red dye number 40, for example, or the fact that they haven't looked at red number 3, which has been banned in cosmetics. You can't use it in lipstick, but it's still allowed in food. It's been banned for over 34 years, but the FDA still allows it in foods.
34 years, and y'all want me to be happy because y'all finally banned it today? What took so long? What took so long? Because we didn't have the information. I sure didn't know it was banned, but they've known for 30-something years and we've still been allowed. That should be a crime.
So we have this situation right now where our FDA is extremely riddled with conflicts of interest that prevent them from acting. And now we are finally seeing leadership at that national level coming in and talking about these issues in a way that I've never seen before. You know, I've been working on these food issues for a very long time. And now is our chance to get American companies to stop poisoning us with ingredients they don't use in other countries in the exact same product that they serve here in America, in Gatorade, in Doritos, in Cheetos, in Cinnamon Toast Crunch, in Kellogg's Fruit Loops. all of those brands use chemicals that are banned or heavily regulated in other countries. In Europe, they require a warning label that looks like a cigarette type warning label on a product that has artificial food dyes. But here in the United States, parents don't know the truth about how artificial food dyes affect their children and their brains, and the fact that they're riddled with carcinogens, things that cause cancer. And this is something that we have to stop if we're going to look at the root cause of chronic disease in this country.
Bonnie, I have to ask, you said for over 30 years. How does that happen? How has the FDA been able to do this and no politician, no advocacy group has been able to change it?
There's been a lot of advocacy groups that have been on the right side of history, and there's been a lot of advocates like myself and everybody that stands behind me that I call the Food Babe Army. But until now, we have not seen emphasis on these additives from a national level, from a national leadership level like RFK Jr. has proposed. You know, I had the opportunity to sit with him at the Senate and give testimony, and when he heard my testimony, I could see he gets these issues, and he said something so profound after that, on that day, which is, if another foreign nation was doing this to us, it would be considered an act of war. This is really terrible that we allow food companies to riddle our food system with additives that have little to no safety data behind them. They don't have third-party checks. They're allowed to create these chemicals to improve profits, but not improve our health. When the FDA is dismantled, when the conflicts of interest are taken out, we can change this. We can actually require food companies to provide safety data before they introduce a new additive into the food supply. And we have to close this GRASS loophole that exists that allow companies to do this. And GRASS stands for generally regarded as safe. But the problem with that is the food companies themselves look at the safety data and they submit it, and they basically get it rubber stamped by the FDA. And so this is a situation where we've allowed the food companies to go largely unregulated, and now we see the disastrous rates of disease on our health in America. The reason why we feel so much better when we go to another country to eat is because of these food additives. You know, they're called food additives, but they don't actually add anything to our lives. They actually take away years.
On Monday, President Biden asked Congress for $98 billion in emergency funding to help offset the costs of recent natural disasters, including hurricanes Helene and Milton. Those back-to-back storms killed over 200 people. Survivors are still digging out of storm damage. The FEMA administrator testified that the current balance of the nation's disaster relief fund is just $5 billion. And if that sounds like a lot of money, well, without that emergency funding, FEMA is going to be forced to revert to what's called immediate needs funding within weeks. That means even though the disaster agency can do life-saving work in places like Western North Carolina, debris removal, providing shelter, food, and water, they won't be able to reimburse communities that are actually now rebuilding from recent federally declared natural disasters, including many small and rural communities. Since Helene and Milton, FEMA says it's provided more than $1.6 billion in assistance to nearly 1 million households. That's on top of $1.3 billion in public assistance. Recovery for these two storms is likely to add up to more than $50 billion apiece and will take years. The FEMA administrator said already the recovery costs associated with Helene and Milton are outpacing all previous disasters within the past decade, with the exception of Hurricane Maria. On Monday, President Biden asked.
That's funny because that's not what we're hearing from the people and the ones that have boots on the ground. We're hearing two totally different things. So I'm going to have to rock with what the people saying. And until I hear otherwise from the people, then I can't believe any of this because they're still hurting. They're still hurting. So where is all the funding going? That's my question. That's why I mean, you ain't got to believe me. We're seeing it. We're hearing it from the people. So
you're telling me that the people of North Carolina had tiny homes built for them, 70 plus something homes, and the county or the state comes in and says, oh, it's not up to code. You can't live here. And now they're homeless again. So the DSS comes along and they're like, hey, I'm taking your kids if you can't provide shelter. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I'm over here in the Pacific Northwest watching all of this unfold, the only reason I'm talking about all of this is because my best friend lives in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And she's telling me firsthand the things that are happening.
And if y'all got family, reach out. Maybe they haven't reached out to you because they can't. They don't have any way to do so. So you may be thinking they're good, but they are not. So reach out. If you don't hear nothing, then we gotta figure out some kind of way, man. Reach out to the police. See if you can get a welfare check. See is it even possible to get there. I'm hearing that you're not even able to travel to some people. They can't get down off the mountain, different things like that. So yeah, man, reach out if you ain't heard nobody, and if not, then try to see what more you can do. Reach out to the police.
On today's episode of F Around and Find Out, we learned that our voices don't matter, folks.
Well, guess what? If TikTok users flood to Red Note, they're going to face the same challenge there.
Okay, Mr. Senator, first off, simmer down. You're displaying a whole lot of centimeter Peter energy right now. It's not becoming of you. We understand the game. Your boot is on our necks. Our opinions, our voices do not matter. We got it. Go ahead and just clear it up. What are we allowed to do? What permissions do you give us, good sir?
TikTok poses a grave threat to our national security and our people's well-being. But also know this. Third, you don't need intelligence.
Well, you didn't answer my question, but I feel like you could benefit from some intelligence. So, spell it out. Why can't we use TikTok?
It's not Instagram or Facebook or X.
So it's not one of the companies that has legally bribed the system, right? Right. Corruption at its finest, folks. They're not even hiding it. We can see what their yearly salary is, coming in around about $200,000, and yet their net worths are increasing by the millions yearly. Doesn't take a genius. I may not be a smart man, but I do know what a corrupt politician looks and sounds like. Anywho's, if and you're not following me, folks, you should be. I may not be a politician. Actually, that's why you should follow me. I'm not a politician. Bye, love you. On today's...
Listen, man, what you constantly realize is that they are so far removed from the people. You can really tell that there's a disconnect there. They don't understand what it feels like. They're so far away from us, but yet they know what we need. That's the part I don't understand. They have not a clue. Because if that was the case, they would be working around the clock to make sure people who TikTok is their job, who it provides for their family, who it takes care of several others because they provide employment for other people. Like they would really understand how important this thing is. So they would be working.
People are mad at Elon Musk's mom for telling people to have kids even if they're broke.
Why would she say that?
She said when she had her first child, she was only in a 2-bedroom apartment, but by her third child, she was finally able to buy a house. So if she can do it, why can't other women do it?
That's because you could buy a house for 6 grapes in the 1970s. What about now?
She said if people can't afford to have one now, they should stop going to the movies, stop having dinner, stop spending money, and focus on having children instead.
So a rich mom is telling poor people to not enjoy their lives because their friends' factories need workers?
What? Do you have a problem with people having kids or something? We need children!
I have a problem with rich people telling poor people to not worry about money while the rich worry about money and actively keep these people poor.
You and everyone else need to stop jumping to conclusions. What if she just genuinely wants the best for humanity?
For every one successful mom, there are 99 struggling moms behind her, and we're supposed to believe that she wants the best for them?
That's not what she's saying! What she's saying is you should be willing to sacrifice for your family!
Sacrifice?
Yeah.
Why should poor people continually have to sacrifice while the rich benefit off that sacrifice every day?
It's too late on 2025! Just wait until they've been abortion! They're not gonna have a choice anymore!
That's exactly the reason they wouldn't want TikTok around for this next part. And also why Frog may have been useful in certain areas. They could think that TikTok could allow for the spread of information too quickly and lead to mass hysteria.
Full alien disclosure, the threat of a nuclear event, and the booms that we're feeling and hearing underneath the ground are all related. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please go and watch his entire video. It is, my mind is literally blown. I just recorded a video about this yesterday that I believe the reason why they are trying to shut down this app so quickly completely aligns with the alien disclosure that we've been hearing Stephen Greer talk about, because they are coming here to warn us of an impending nuclear event. And if we have a mass way to communicate with each other and to validate what it is we see in the sky, then we can make changes to stop whatever is impending. Timing is not a coincidence. This is the only app where we're able to talk back and forth in such quick real time. And there are no coincidences, just synchronicities. In his video, he describes how in every single major historical event, whenever we've seen orbs in the sky, it's been around nuclear reactors or impending humanitarian events that are going to change things or dramatically affect humans. And so the fact that we're seeing plasmoids in the sky at this time are no coincidence. We are seeing them because they are here to stop a nuclear event. And the reason why nuclear events affect them is because it will affect the fabric of the universe. And it will do so in such a catastrophic way that it forever alters and changes the fabric of that universe. Stephen Greer has been talking now for months about how certain people in black op levels of government are going to finally band together and come out for full disclosure in early to mid-January. And there is no coincidence, I think, that that is exactly when they are going to turn the lights out on this app. We're also hearing thundering underneath the ground out in rural areas and throughout. If you watch several videos, there are eyewitness accounts of people hearing thundering and rumbling under the ground. And what other app can we in real time connect with each other across the country and share and corroborate this phenomenon that is happening? They understand that if full disclosure were to come down to the American people, we would all be making thousands upon thousands of videos about disclosure, spreading and disseminating the information. And the jig would be up. Whatever war is happening under the ground or whatever event is leading up to a nuclear event, it would be here for everyone to see. They can no longer hide it. And that is the national security risk.